So we know right now that you've got a transportation issue, which means fuel is not moving around the country. You are having fuel shortages uphill and down Dale, almost literally. Why is this so bad?
Oh, it's really bad at the moment. We seem to be going from one crisis to another. We've had an energy crisis. Now there's a fuel crisis. Of course, there's been a political crisis ever since we voted for Brexit in 2016. So it's just one crisis after another, and people are kind of getting sick of it. The fuel crisis is bad because of the driver shortages, and the shortages of truck drivers is down to many, many things. There's the impact of the pandemic, the fact that there's a new testing regime, which is quite strict, the fact that lots of potential drivers have now left the country. Foreign workers left the country during the pandemic. There's a bit of Brexit in there, the question of how we can get new people to work for us who might have worked for us in the past. So there's lots of things going on which have exploded into this fuel crisis. And just outside my front door right now, there are about 50 stationary cars waiting to go into a petrol station, waiting to stock up on petrol in case the crisis gets worse. So it's pretty serious.
I was watching some broadcasting from the UK, some more conservative style broadcasting that was going off its lid that you don't have to panic buy right now, and that there are people who really shouldn't be part of the queues. Panic buying is always the weirdest of phenomena, but are you seeing people who really should not be in the queue, who are in the queue right now, who really won't use a tank of petrol in a month, let alone the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, I expect so. I mean, I'm a cyclist, so I have cyclist privilege, so I can kind of weave my way between all these cars that are stuck on the streets. I'm fairly lucky from that perspective. But yes, I think some people are buying fuel unnecessarily, and I think that's probably quite foolish. But I think, the finger wagging from people in power saying, don't panic, don't buy fuel if you don't need to, and so on, it kind of, even that is a bit annoying as well, because one of the reasons we have a broader energy crisis on top of everything else is because of the energy policies that our governments have been pursuing over the past few years. Their energy policy has gone from being about reliability and the ability to provide cheap, reliable energy when people need it. And it's now about sustainability. It's about making everything super green. It's about moving to renewables rather than thinking about nuclear, thinking about how we might boost our energy and dig for shale gas and all these other supposedly controversial things. So beyond the fuel crisis, there's a broader energy crisis, which I think has been manufactured by some of the climate change alarmists in government. So I don't like the fact they're now saying to people, don't panic, don't buy fuel. It's a bit hypocritical.
Yeah, I agree completely. By the way, I do love the trick whenever somebody in government tries to do the Jedi mind trick. This is not the crisis you think it is, despite the fact you can see it with your own eyes and you're living it. This is the Transport Minister there.
Within the country, at the 6 refineries and 47 storage facilities, there's plenty of fuel. There's no shortage of the fuel within the country. So the most important thing is actually that if people carry on as they normally would and fill up their cars when they normally would, then you won't have queues and you won't have shortages at the pump either.
So if everything's fine, why are people doing it, Brendan?
Well, I think there's a question mark over whether everything is fine. I think there's a combination of things going on here. Firstly, the government hasn't prepared particularly well for Brexit. We all knew that. I think Brexit, by the way, is a fantastic idea. I voted for it and I was very happy to. But it is a complicated process and more preparation should have been done, and the government didn't prepare for all these kinds of eventualities. But on the other hand, I think there is panic. There is panic buying. It's unnecessary. But I think we've lived in such an era of doom mongering where we're told everything is the end of the world. It's not particularly surprising that people sometimes do panic and do worry about events like this. I think it will settle down eventually, but I think people in power have got a lot of questions to ask themselves about how they organise society.